progress. And another video. Bing, I think we're live. It's Sam Michael, NHS Wiki. Yes, so we are, what's going on there? I've managed to set up a completely separate staging instance that's now got, I guess, all the features and can be used for testing out new features and rolling things out. I completed that, managed to complete that, quite a lot of time on that week before last. I can see in the background that there's like a couple of people who are my key contacts at the NHS, and they are continuing to edit, you know, their pages in the system and kind of like make changes and so on. I'm not seeing a lot of activity, or indeed any activity, from other sort of stakeholders. We're getting about, I think, like 3 or 4 spam hits a day, which are going into the moderation queue, and that's kind of it's sort of it's an annoyance in the level of emails that I'm getting there. It's sort of manageable. It's sort of making the, you know, the spammers are still able to sort of create user accounts, which I hang around, and like, so we get a big long list of users with made up names. The guy who does the moderation thing has suggested a list of like 4 or 5 items to packages that we could, you know, try out. So we're now sort of set to potentially try out additional packages that would block spam in other ways. I have created a Trello board. Actually, that's probably the place to go to now. For the wiki. I've got a meeting with the folks on Friday, and as I mentioned, the marketing meeting yesterday. So by the end of next week, we'll need to come up with a marketing report. But given we're doing the design sprint next week, maybe sensibly, I would get that marketing report done this week. Excuse me, and show it to them on Friday and get their feedback on it. Yeah, so what have we got going on here? In progress. Yeah, so that's just sort of a general edits on the front page, which the people are working on. This one is now, I've improved the help pages, just to extra tidy up, getting some pages downloads and self-care. Yeah, and then there's a series of other like minor changes that could improve things that I was sort of wanted to get all set up to test on. So they're all like changes to the MediaWiki configuration that might improve the experience. I'm sort of holding fire on the, you know, that's we've got Jason there telling me what's going on, that his department has just employed another couple of people. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, I would kind of like to, I'd love to have like a clear day and be trying out a load of things on the new staging server, you know, restoring from backup. I think that the first thing I was thinking to try was like cloning the data from the production server to the staging server, you know, like the way that we often do to test things out for website 1, where we, you know, clone the database from production to staging. The interesting thing with MediaWiki is that seems to be a less simple operation, because the state of the wiki depends not only on the contents of the database, but also on static files. So I found this thing from MediaWiki about moving a wiki, and it's kind of like got, you know, this sort of off-putting series of things that you need to do in order to work through that. But it's interesting contrasting the worlds of the sort of PHP legacy application and hosting it on Azure through Bitnami versus, you know, how we manage things for website 1 with Heroku and so on. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of I think that's sensibly, the next sort of DevOps task is this one, which maybe I will add to the Trello. Let's put that in here.
And that's just so
Go
like
on.
the state of the the state of the file system matters.
I think so, because I think, like, for example, when people upload images to the Media Wiki, they don't get stored they get stored on the file system. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So you have to so how are you maintaining, how are you backing that up, I guess?
At the moment, what we've got is we are running Azure backups, so the entire virtual machine is being
Okay.
snapshotted, and every
So
24 hours. So basically, and then that's stored the last 30 snapshots for the last month are there. So in principle, if the whole virtual machine died,
you would lose no more than 24 hours.
exactly, yeah.
Or if there was mass vandalism or something.
Right. Indeed, which with the moderation package seems to be very happily handling that. I mean, yeah, I guess if there could be mass vandalism if someone slipped through and got approved as a moderator, and then approved other people in it. Yeah. So,
or they somehow attack the application at the application level.
Sure.
I don't know why they would spend their time doing that. That would be kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, exactly.
Real value.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, I think it's there. What's clear from the kind of spam that's coming in, which we can see, is that they kind of it's parasitical. That they don't want to kill the host organism. They sort of don't want to be noticed. Basically, they want to be able to insert a sort of a page here and there.
Is it even relevant to anything, or is it just random stuff?
It's pretty random. So if we have a look at, if I go on am I logged in here? As I went to this one actually. If I go to a different browser, oh, here we go. Yeah,
are they linking to some site? They're are they linking to a website or something?
Yeah, so we can have a look here. So this is the thing here, and you can basically see random names: Salvatore Hancock, Lindsay Porter 5, Laurie Macklin 4, Norris 8476. I clicked on that, and so they're basically creating pages, and it's a lot of them in Spanish, and then they have within them a link to
whatever they're promoting.
Whatever they're promoting.
So they're trying to get Google to bump them up, basically.
Right.
That's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, it's either. I mean, I don't know if this is a particularly persuasive Spanish document, so I don't speak Spanish, but yeah, I guess it's either they want Google to bump them up, or this is some sort of phishing thing that they want to, people to click on and then accidentally give away their details. But so at the moment, the moderation process that I'm going through is I'm just that. It's obviously a spammer, yeah. So, I mean, the guy who wrote this moderation package, because the MediaWiki itself doesn't have this moderation package. So that's he's the MediaWiki people. They seem to use some other system. They use Fabricator for managing all of their issues and this, that, and the other. Find moderation. There we go. This guy who's done the MediaWiki moderation package, he's there's a plugin. From what I can see, he's somewhat rare in that he's used GitHub, and he actually we just pull the master branch into the file system, and so on. And I've had various discussions with him on here. So this was my question about these spammers. I mean, I was saying I don't know. I still think it would be useful for this list, to be able to see all of the stuff that was. I guess the merged list. It feels like there should be more that were merged, but anyway, I don't know. There we go. But so, yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of doing things. I think, I mean, there's all sorts of this copying the data from production to staging would be I think a interesting operation to do, and then various other things that are kind of like little rough edges, like having it look better on mobile and so on. Other approaches to the spam management and so on can be tried out there before putting it onto production, which is a sensible state to be in. I guess I'm in some ways holding off to see how the NHS want to push, which direction they want to push the project in. They had talked about lining up a series of a different person from their organization making a change every other day, and they haven't followed through with that, and there's a load more content that they're supposed to put in. They haven't done that yet. So I mean, I'll talk to them in this meeting this week. They're just asking me about being available on the 14th of June on 9:30, that's our, I guess I could do that because our that's our design sprint, but it's not starting until later. Yes, let's say 14th of June. Possible. More about the meeting. So we're in this. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was saying to somebody, I was saying yesterday in that AV community meeting, is that, where was I saying it, or in the marketing meeting, that they've kind of, they had this lot which is for like build the thing, which also mentioned all the marketing, and then they had this separate lot which they said, oh, this is the, anyway, they've ended up I think giving us just the money and say sort it out. So we've now got this kind of interesting thing of like, we could be putting all of our resources into improving the usability of the system. We could be putting all the resources into just driving more traffic to the site. So there's a lot of leeway. It's
so, like, I guess you got to ask them what they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, given that they don't have a huge budget.
No, I mean, well, they've kind of I mean, in the thing that we've kind of agreed to is that we'll keep this running for the 2 years.
2 years, right?
And there's, they've kind of given us the money up front, but it's then, we could spend 3 months, working really hard to add additional features and then go into a kind of a skeleton state, or it could, the money could be pushed more towards marketing or more towards moderation. We've got, a degree of flexibility. I mean, I think that their goal, what they would like is like loads of people to be using this wiki and deriving value from it and sharing materials through it. In some ways, I think one of the most effective things for that is like me or others going out and meeting people and sitting down and kind of like engaging them in discussion, making sure that it works on their laptop, getting that user feedback. I mean, I've done, a fair amount of that, and then some of
so like training.
Yeah, I think there's. I mean, I've done like 4 or 5 training sessions for them already with different people.
But I guess there's no like additional budget for training.
Well, no, and I think, well, there might be there isn't in the first instance additional budgets above and beyond what they've given us. We're in this funny state where I can sort of see that and then other people sort of warn me a little bit about this as a, does the NHS sometimes do this, but they've got this kind of slightly amorphous setup, and then there's kind of like slightly ambiguous boundary about, so like there's publicizing this website like internally within, so like we've got Healthy London Partnership, and then they've got their own site, which I borrowed that top bit from. And so I was saying, oh, can we add the wiki up here? And the communications manager was saying, well, no, it's not cross-cutting enough. It's still, the wiki is specific to this like one area from this stuff. And that's it. I think these things are all of these things are like different like sub-departments within NHS, I think, maybe.
So,
Go on.
like, you are the whole thing is like marketing too, is in the contract.
Yeah. They want us to help drive the marketing, and it's Proactive Care is the group that I'm working with, and they're like maybe one of these groups. But so what they're
So marketing, moderation, and like data reports.
Yeah.
Are the three components.
Yeah.
Like and running, making the site
And
run.
making sure that it stays up and this, that, and the other. Yeah.
So that's like the contract continuing forward.
Right.
And have you there's no like actual definition of like per hour or something, like $50 per hour for marketing or.
No. I mean,
like
I said, the initial bid was split up to say like 4,000 for the development of the wiki and the marketing ongoing, and then 8,000 for the moderation. And I think based on that, they had, in terms of no idea how much or little moderation would be required and how much time that would take up. So they just kind of they sort of split it up, and then through the process of working with me, and they sort of like what I was doing, and they, what I was saying was making sense, and so on, and they just said, yeah, well, know what we're doing, have the money, have the whole lot, and a little bit more to pay for the legal stuff, and kind of use it as appropriate is the message that I've kind of got. So I mean, they're this thing that's just going on the Slack channel here is that they're asking me to come along to a self-care meeting next week and see if to do a demo of the wiki and how to get them involved and promote the wiki and so on. And so I think it's the kind of thing that, in principle, I could push back and say to them, well, look, you've got the wiki, you can promote that to them, you can talk to them. I think, and I could be saying, well, I should be spending my time, rolling out new features for the wiki, rather than convincing your stakeholders to use the wiki, which is kind of a little bit of your job. But the way that they've written the whole thing is it's kind of like it's slightly ambiguous because we're responsible for helping market the wiki in general terms. So that could be, using our Google AdWords budget towards it. It could be posting stuff on Facebook. It could be coming out and attending these meetings. Anyhow, I've got a
in terms of going forward, it sounds like just like an open-ended thing that could consume large amounts of time. And also, you keep saying new features. Is that actually none of those terms that I'm hearing, like marketing, moderating, none of them say new features?
No. I mean, that's
additional
features is like me noticing that people are having trouble with the usability of part of the site and addressing that with something, and they're not. That's that, and it's kind of like, I mean, it's absolutely true that I've got to carefully cap the time.
That's normally that would normally have some additional budget,
right. But although this is just like adding packages to the wiki. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that in some, and that's partly why I'm holding off on it to see, because they may now have more budget and they're got potentially new requests for what they want the wiki to do and so on. And I think, yes, the danger is in these situations. They say, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have this? Could you just do that for us? Go on, just do it. And I've kind of got to be, well, so that's partly why I'm holding off there. And I'm thinking, right, actually what I'll do for Friday is this module board. Anyway,
and you just end up working the next 2 years for minimum wage.
Right. That's the danger. Yeah. So I've got to watch out for that. And I'll go to my next meeting. Thanks for joining me for this one. I guess the other thing is just on a Azure Managing Media Wiki. I mean, it's an interesting project with a positive thing. So if you want to have access to the
what is your next meeting? Is that with Dree?
That's with Dree sponsor, yeah.
Okay.
So I better be on top of that. All right.
Bye
Bye for now.